This meeting is being recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's session. And today we are going to discuss about security program roadmap. And this is specifically directed to the top management. So today we are going to discuss about exploring our system security policy to proceed comprehensive programs. And it will be done by me with Stephen Kimani. So first is to understand the purpose of the session. And the first is to address how do we address the emerging cyber threats in terms of our infrastructure? And when doing so, how do we prevent losses or financial losses and also reputable damage based on the cyber threats or cyber attacks that may occur during our tenure during our work? Also, we are going to discuss how to gain competitive advantage through trust. How do we gain customer trust? We always say customer comes first. How do we gain their trust that we can maintain and probably do a back-to-back on them? And then we're going to talk about a more moving from reactive to a more proactive security posture. Instead of this, what I mean is it be more of like we are proactively monitoring our system, we are proactively updating our infrastructure, patching our servers and all that. But for us to achieve all this, we need a skill set that will be required to make sure individuals that are assigned to this task have a certain skill set. Number one, it will be they have to understand the system or the network architecture. So when you have a new hire, a security engineer or a security professional, the first thing they have to have a well-documented network or security network or architecture of our system. Two, someone has to recognize vulnerability and threats and how to mitigate those threats or vulnerabilities. Is this individual able to determine, detect, or prevent any threats that are coming through? The next item is implementing and managing security controls. Do we have security controls put in place? Remember, in our previous conversation, we talked about the security controls. What are security controls do we have? How do we implement them? Then, for us to be for customers to trust us, we need to be compliant with the market organization. For example, if you're going to talk, we're talking about HIPAA, we're talking about SOC 2, we're talking about ISO services. So these are some of the key things an individual has to understand when it comes to technology literacy and skills. So this part is a wider, but I will just giving a top level notification, just a top level info, so that we can dig deeper, but it's wide in terms of awareness of security. So how do we then go through the roadmap? Now, the roadmap, we can divide it into three phases. We have phase one is assessment, phase two is implementation, and phase three is maturity and optimization. And in each of those phases, we have to go each step at a time. For example, in phase one, we talk about risk assessment and awareness, identifying, assessing the vulnerabilities, then having a company-wide trade security training. Then phase two is now deploying the firewall, enabling MFA, endpoint protections. And this, when it comes to endpoint protection, talk about either you're talking about hybrid, cloud, or on-premise infrastructure. Establish incident response protocol. And this is important because we may have a very good framework that we put in place, but we don't have a response protocol that we put in place. It is important that we establish one so that we can have a proper channel of communication in case of a threat. Then phase three is maturity and optimization. Now, it may take some time, but then this is a continuous improvement based on the KPIs that we put in place in reference to achieving or maintaining or the accessibility and vulnerability of our system. Then lastly is achieving compliance It will be ISO 2701, it will be SOC 2, it will be HIPAA. We all need to be compliant. And if you have talking about both hybrid, cloud, there are all compliance perspective when it comes to security. Then the other item is about maintenance for effective performance. How do we maintain our performance at the highest level possible? This can be done through ongoing maintenance activities. It could be quarterly vulnerability scans that you're doing into our system, annual policy updates, continuous employee training. And this is important because we may have people come and go, but then we have to make sure that any new employee, any new person, or the existing employee, they have continuous security trainings. Also, routine phishing simulations, and this is where we test our system. We call it we dribble the ball, and this is what we're talking about. We test our systems whether they are able to handle certain threats, and that's what we call routine phishing simulations. Then in this case, we want to make sure we ensure effective and relevance into our system. All in all, there are systems and frameworks and the best practices that we can go through. It's deep and wide. But these are some of the samples or examples of practices and frameworks that we can use to make sure we are having the best security protocols put in place. First is we have the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. We have ISO 27001. We have CIS controls. We have integrations, probably through Siemens systems. We have MFA and security development practices where we have a more of like a blue-green deployment so that we don't interfere with the production at the same time. If someone is infected, does not affect the other. And lastly, we talk about security design principles. And in terms of security design principles, it's more of like a continuous process where we have to say, let's say we start with the we're increasing we have the core principles. The core principle, one of it is least privileges principle, where you only get the permissions you only need. Although you are a manager, doesn't mean you have all the access. No, you only given the access that you require at any time soon. And then we have defense in depth. And defense in depth, this is a situation where you have every layer of your network is secure. Starting from the network control policies, access control policies, we go to network policies, we have the firewall, we have the MFA enabled, and this is what we call defense inward, where it's a layer of defense on a layer of security checks in every step of your infrastructure. Then we have fail-safe default. What happens if something goes wrong? What is your fail-safe? What is your availability? Then we have separation of duties. Who can handle what? Then we have application, embedded principles into design. Then increase system trustworthiness in resilience. So above all that, what are the common security failures? So some may be very lame, but they are a very big threat when it comes to security. First is, as I said earlier, some managers would, because they are the manager, they might need all the access, all the admin access. That should be not the best practice. And that's what we're saying it's a typical common security failures. Excessive access rights, lack of timely patching, weak password management. And this is in terms of weak password management, about how many characters does your password have? What are the characters that are allowed into your password? What is the rotation of your password? Two is ignoring the least privileges principle, right? Meaning that anyone can get all the access they want at any given point. That is a pretty much very ignorance of the least privileges principle, and also lack of failsafe. What happens if something goes wrong? Do you have as failsafe? That's our common security failures. So the key message here is prevention start at design. We have to design it. We have to make sure it is designed during the project initialization or setup. So Next is our monitoring and controlling programs. So there are so many services, so many frameworks, so many tools that we can use for monitoring. But the key point is we need to automate our monitoring tools. What are the tools do we have? Can we automate the whole process? How do we conduct our quarterly security audits? Then we need to adjust the program based on the threat threshold. Now, the kind of threats we have today is different from the kind of threats we had 20, 30 years ago. So our organization should be able to adjust based on our threat and also technological landscape that we're coming through. The key point here is we need to dynamically adjust to ensure security relevance. Now, and my final message to you is let's together we can build a secure future for our company. If you need my details, they are right there. Shoot me an email. We'll be able to get back to you. Thank you so much and have a good evening and morning.